She shattered a $20,000 vase, and her family shattered her trust. Cast out by her own son and humiliated by her daughter-in-law, Loretta Harper is left with nothing but rain, regret, and a secret letter from the past. But when her final words shake the family to its core, everything changes. What if the real inheritance was never about money, but about breaking a cycle that nearly destroyed her? Rain taps its relentless rhythm on the wide bay windows of my son's living room, blurring the outside world into a wash of grays and fractured light. The Harper house, modern but filled with antiques, all precisely arranged by Savannah's meticulous hand, always feels colder to me when the sky is heavy. I suppose I don't truly belong to these rooms even now, months after my accident. My slippers barely make a sound on the oak floors. But in this place, even silence seems out of place when it comes from me. The vase stands in the center of the side table, gleaming in the soft gold of the lamp, almost like it's daring me to look away. Blue and white porcelain, a burst of painted lilies winding around its belly. When I moved in, Savannah mentioned its price offhandedly while she was unpacking groceries. "That's a Vercelli original, Loretta. Not something you see every day." The words hung there, gentle enough, but underneath, a quiet warning. Tonight, I'm on my way to the kitchen, thinking only of warming some tea. My left hip aches, a dull reminder of the fall that upended my life and sent me, unasked and awkward, into the home my son shares with his wife and daughter. The corner of my cardigan brushes the side table. I feel the shift before I hear it. Porcelain slides, wobbles, then drops. The sound is sharp and final, a crack that shatters the hush of the house. In an instant, Savannah's face appears in the hallway, eyes wide and mouth already tightening. My breath catches in my chest. I kneel or try to. My hands are trembling as I reach for the fragments. Somewhere above me, Savannah exhales sharply. "Oh my God, Loretta." Her voice is level, but it has the edge of something brittle about to snap. I swallow, ashamed. I'm sorry, Savannah, I didn't mean—" She interrupts, not with words, but with a look. She kneels beside me, her movements clipped, and starts picking up shards as if they're toxic. "That was expensive, you know. I told Travis this would happen if we kept moving things around for you." She doesn't look at me. Not really. Travis comes in, his tie loosened and laptop bag still slung over his shoulder. He sees us and stops short. "What happened?" Savannah holds up a fragment, her jaw tight. "Your mother knocked over the Vercelli." He looks from the broken porcelain to me, then back at Savannah. "It's just a vase, Sav." His tone is tired, careful. Savannah puts down the piece she's holding and stands, brushing invisible dust off her hands. "It's not just the vase, Travis. It's everything." Her voice is cold, measured. I feel as if I've swallowed ice. Chloe peeks into the room, her big brown eyes darting between us. "Is Grandma okay?" she asks, almost in a whisper. I try to smile, but my lips tremble. "I'm fine, honey. Just a little accident," I manage, hoping my voice sounds steadier than I feel. Savannah softens only slightly for Chloe, but I see the way she quickly herds her daughter away from the scene, murmuring about bedtime. The unspoken message is clear. This mess, this clumsiness, is not for Chloe to see, not for Chloe to inherit. When the last pieces are swept up, and the table sits bare and accusing in the lamplight, I sit quietly, my hands in my lap. I've never felt as old as I do tonight. Later, Travis comes to my room. He stands in the doorway, unsure. Savannah's just stressed. The vase was sentimental to her. He doesn't mention the price again, as if by not naming it he can lessen the sting. "I'll replace it," I say, though my bank account could never stretch that far. He shakes his head, looking away. "It's not about that, Mom. Just try to be careful, okay?" I nod, unable to meet his eyes. "Of course. I'm sorry, Travis." He squeezes my shoulder, a gesture that used to comfort me, but tonight, it only leaves me feeling smaller. When I'm alone, I sit on the edge of the narrow guest bed, looking at my hands. My knuckles are swollen, my skin thinner than I remember. It's not just my body that betrays me these days. I think back to being a girl in Indiana, tripping over my own feet in my mother's kitchen. She'd frown and tell me, "Loretta, you've got to pay attention. Girls like us can't afford to be clumsy." That was the family mantra, passed down with the meatloaf recipe and the worn silver spoons. Be useful, Be careful, don't draw attention. But attention always seems to find me, and not the kind that's gentle. The next morning, the atmosphere is brittle. Savannah doesn't greet me when I come into the kitchen. The dishwasher clangs, cupboard doors thud shut. She sets a mug on the counter, just out of reach, and busies herself with Chloe's lunchbox. I hover, waiting for a chance to say something, to apologize again. But the moment never comes. When Travis comes down, he glances at me, then at Savannah, and opts for silence. Chloe sits quietly at the table, swinging her legs. She gives me a small smile. "Grandma, will you read me the rest of Charlotte's Web tonight?" she asks. Savannah shoots her a look, but Chloe doesn't seem to notice. "If it's okay with your mom," I say, hoping to keep the peace. Savannah doesn't answer, just packs the lunchbox and ushers Chloe out the door. The hours drag. I do the laundry, careful with every button, every sock. I dust the side tables, staying far away from the empty space where the vase once stood. I make dinner, triple-checking every step of Savannah's recipe. When Savannah comes home, she barely touches her food, then disappears upstairs. Travis offers a strained smile. "She just needs time, Mom. It's not easy, everyone adjusting." I nod again, familiar with the rhythm. I have spent my life adjusting, to my mother's sharp tongue, to my husband's long absences, to the empty nest when Travis left for college. Now it seems, I am learning to adjust to the feeling of being a guest in my son's house. That night, after the house goes quiet, I find myself in the living room, staring at the patch of polished wood where the vase used to be. I replay the moment again and again, the slip, the crash, Savannah's glare. It's as if the accident is part of a pattern I can't break, as if all my mistakes are stitched together into one long tapestry of not belonging. I wonder if Chloe, sensitive and bright, notices the way her mother tightens whenever I'm near, or if she'll remember my voice reading her favorite books, the way I remember my mother's sighs more than her songs. I hope she remembers the gentler parts of me. In the dim light, I pick up my journal and begin to write. "Dear Frank," I start, as I often do. I tell my late husband about the vase, about the way Savannah looked at me, about the ache in my chest that's more than the ache in my hip. I wish he were here to say, "It's only porcelain, Retta. People matter more." But it's just me tonight, just the rain, and the distant sound of Chloe's soft laughter drifting down the stairs. Even as I write, I know the vase is only the beginning. Something in the way Savannah watched me gather those broken pieces tells me that, in this house, I am walking on shards, and each step cuts a little deeper than the last. Morning light creeps over the edge of the kitchen counter, falling in pale strips onto the linoleum. The world outside is washed clean by last night's rain, but inside, the air still feels heavy, as if the storm hasn't passed. I stand in the doorway, uncertain, clutching my cardigan closed. Savannah stands at the stove, her back to me, the sound of eggs sizzling filling the space that used to be for small talk or easy laughter. She doesn't look up when I walk in. The clatter of her spatula against the pan is sharp, precise. I wait, awkward, for some acknowledgement, a good morning, even just a glance, but there is nothing. Her silence is louder than any argument we might have had. It fills the room, pressing against my chest, making my breathing shallow. I clear my throat. "Would you like help with breakfast?" Savannah stiffens. "No, I've got it," she says, her voice clipped, eyes never leaving the pan. "You can sit down." I move to the table, noticing she's already set out plates. 3, not 4. I fetch my own from the cupboard, but when I turn back, she's already pushing Travis's plate toward him. He wanders in, hair still damp from the shower, tie half knotted. He glances at me, then at Savannah, sensing the charge in the air. I try again quietly. "Savannah, about last night." She cuts me off, still not looking up. "It's fine, Loretta. These things happen." But it isn't fine. Her tone says so, as does the tight set of her jaw. She scrapes eggs onto plates with more force than necessary, then wipes the counter with brisk, aggressive movements. Chloe skips in, backpack bouncing, and the atmosphere shifts just slightly. Savannah softens, giving her daughter a smile and a gentle touch on the shoulder. Chloe beams at me, and I smile back. But the distance between Savannah and me feels like a chasm. Travis clears his throat. "Did you sleep okay, Mom?" I nod, trying to sound casual. "Yes, thank you." Savannah turns, finally meeting my eyes for a moment. I've left a list on the fridge, Loretta. Just a few things to tidy up after breakfast. Her words are careful, but her meaning is clear. I scan the list: laundry, vacuuming, organizing the pantry. I feel the old prickle of anxiety at the base of my skull. Of course, I say, folding the note and tucking it into my pocket. After breakfast, Travis lingers in the kitchen as Savannah leads Chloe out the door for school drop-off. He puts his coffee mug in the sink, glancing at me. Savannah's a little on edge. The vase was special. I swallow. I know, I wish I could fix it. He sighs, running a hand through his hair. Maybe just be more careful, Mom. Things have been tense lately. The words sting more than I let on. More careful. That phrase has been my shadow for years, echoing from my mother, my husband, now my son. It's always my fault. Always something I did or didn't do. I nod, keeping my face neutral. I'll try, Travis. I really will. When the house is empty, I start on the chores. I work in silence, wiping down counters, folding laundry with meticulous care, arranging canned goods in alphabetical order. I find small comfort in these tasks, but Savannah's presence lingers in every room, a silent supervisor. I catch myself hesitating before using the sink, worried I'll leave a spot or a drip. Later, I head to my small upstairs room to put away fresh linens, only to find that my dresser has been moved. My favorite scarf, the one Frank gave me on our first anniversary, is missing from the drawer. I search for it quietly, afraid to ask. When I finally find it, it's been folded and placed at the very back, beneath winter sweaters I never wear. A message, subtle but clear. These things are not yours to scatter about. Downstairs, the pantry door is locked. I fumble with the handle before realizing Savannah must have installed a new child lock overnight. I stare at it, hands trembling slightly, feeling like a child myself, untrusted, unwelcome. I leave the pantry alone, my list unfinished. Chloe comes home from school in the afternoon, rushing up the stairs, her laughter a small, bright note in the muted house. I hear her talking to her mother, the sound muffled behind a closed door. I catch only snippets, Savannah's voice low, measured, Chloe's higher, full of questions. When I step into the living room later, Savannah is there, folding laundry with brisk efficiency. I approach, hesitant. Savannah, I'm sorry again about the vase. I know it meant a lot to you. She doesn't look up, folding a towel with sharp, practiced movements. It's done, she says flatly. Let's just move on, but please try to be more mindful. We can't keep cleaning up after everyone's mistakes. Her words slice through me, the implication clear. I nod, turning away, my face burning. In the hallway, I hear her mutter to Travis, who has just come in from the garage. Your mother's always in the way. His response is too quiet for me to make out, but I hear the tired resignation in his sigh. I stand frozen, hand on the stair rail, caught between wanting to leave and wanting desperately to belong. The days slide into a pattern. Savannah's passive-aggressive gestures grow bolder. She rearranges the contents of my closet, moves my shoes to the mudroom, restricts my time in the kitchen to mornings only. I find my toiletries lined up on the bathroom counter with a note. Please keep things tidy. It's as if she's erasing my presence, one small belonging at a time. Each night, I find myself replaying these moments, searching for the turning point, the moment when I could have changed the outcome. But every memory echoes with the voices of my past. My mother's clipped warnings, her disappointment when I broke a dish or stained a dress. Girls like us can't afford to be careless, Loretta, she would say. You don't want people thinking you're a burden. Burden. That word claws at me now, resurfacing with every sideways glance, every chore assigned, every careful comment. I see my reflection in the hallway mirror, lined and tired. I think of the broken vase, the way the pieces scattered in the light, my own face multiplied in every sharp, jagged edge. It's as if I am both the breaker and the broken, clumsy, unwanted, impossible to repair. One evening, I pass by the kitchen just as Savannah's voice drifts from the pantry. She's on the phone, speaking in a hush, urgent but controlled. I pause, invisible in the shadowy hall. I can't keep doing this, Savannah says, her voice low but clear. She's in the way. Travis won't say it, but I know he's tired of it too. If we don't find a solution, I don't know how much longer I can stand it. Maybe it's time we finally get rid of her for good. My heart pounds so hard I'm sure she can hear it from the other room. I don't move. I just stand there, rooted in place, listening to the sound of my own breath, trying to process what I've just heard. For a moment, I want to storm in, demand an explanation, but I can't move. Old habits win, the urge to disappear, to make myself small, to survive by not making waves. I slip back upstairs, heart racing, hands shaking. I sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the wall, the weight of her words pressing down until I can barely breathe. It hits me then. This isn't just about a vase. It's about belonging, about control, about being reminded at every turn that my place in this house is conditional, fragile, always at risk. I feel the same anxiety I did as a girl, desperate to please and doomed to fail. The old ache returns, but beneath it is something sharper, a flicker of anger, a glimmer of resolve I thought I'd lost. I take out my journal, write down what I overheard, every word. For the first time since moving in, I don't end the entry with an apology. I just write the truth, plain and simple, and let the page hold my fear. Downstairs, the house is quiet. Savannah's footsteps echo off the hardwood floors. I know now that I am not imagining things. The silent blame game has rules, and I have been playing them my whole life. But maybe, just maybe, it's time to change the game. There are cruelties you can't photograph, small, careful injuries meant to bruise only the spirit. In the days after that phone call, I begin to notice them multiplying around me like cracks in old plaster, each one private, deniable, but no less real for being invisible. It starts with the door. One evening after dinner, I climb the stairs and find my bedroom door locked. I jiggle the handle. Nothing. My heart sinks, a child's panic rising from somewhere long buried. I stand there, embarrassed, until Travis comes up behind me. He fumbles with the key, says Savannah must have locked it by accident while cleaning. He laughs, awkward, as if that's possible. I nod, say nothing, and accept the apology on her behalf. But that night, I don't sleep well. I dream of being locked out of every room, forever trying keys that never fit. Then my medication disappears. 3 little bottles, 1 for blood pressure, 2 for pain, go missing from the bathroom cabinet. I search everywhere, even in the trash. Finally, I ask Savannah if she's seen them. She shrugs. You probably misplaced them, Loretta. Maybe it's time to keep better track of things. Her words sting, but there's nothing I can do. The next day, the bottles reappear, lined up neatly by the sink as if they'd never been lost. I start hiding them in my purse, not trusting anyone. The cruelties continue, gentle as silk, sharp as glass. Chloe, once my little anchor in the house, is suddenly busy. Music lessons, soccer practice, play dates. If she does sit with me, Savannah appears in the doorway, arms folded, calling her away to finish homework or help set the table. Chloe's hugs are fewer, briefer, her questions softer. I know she feels the tension, but she doesn't have the words for it yet. I am left alone, with only my thoughts for company. In the evenings, I take out my journal and write to Frank. The pen shakes in my hand, the words jagged. You always said I could weather anything, I write, but you never saw me like this. You never saw me small. Frank, gone 3 years now, always believed I was stronger than I felt. He was a quiet man, slow to anger, quick to forgive. When I was overwhelmed, he would hold my hands, look me in the eye and say, Retta, nobody gets to tell you your worth. Not even you. I used to believe him. Without him here, my edges feel soft and undefended. Sometimes at night, I pretend he's still there beside me, whispering reassurance. But in the light of morning, I am only a guest, an extra body in a house already too full of unspoken grievances. I try to remind myself that Savannah's cruelty didn't start with me. Travis once told me quietly that Savannah's mother, Gloria, was the sharpest woman he'd ever met, rich, beautiful, and impossibly demanding. Gloria visited once, a hurricane in silk, her voice like sugar laced with arsenic. She complimented Savannah's decor, then pointed out a smudge on the silver. She smiled at Chloe, then immediately asked why she wasn't in more advanced reading classes. Everything was a competition. Everything was about appearances. Travis told me that when Savannah was growing up, mistakes were not allowed. Failure wasn't an option in that house, he said once after Gloria's visit. Savannah she never learned how to let things go. Sometimes I try to feel sympathy for Savannah. I try to imagine what it's like to be shaped by that kind of relentless pressure, to always hear your mother's voice in your head. Do better, be better, don't disappoint. But sympathy only goes so far when you're the one being punished for another woman's wounds. The isolation is almost total now. My phone charger disappears. My favorite mug vanishes from the cupboard. There are no more invitations to family movie night. No more cards left on my pillow from Chloe. At dinner, I'm given the smallest portion, and Savannah sets the salt shaker just out of my reach. It is a game with no rules, and I am always losing. Travis is caught in the middle, always trying to keep the peace. One evening, after a tense meal, he finds me in the laundry room folding towels. He glances over his shoulder before speaking, voice barely above a whisper. "Just keep your head down, Mom. It's only temporary. We'll figure something out." I nod, even though I don't believe it. The we in our family is always changing shape, shrinking to fit Savannah's comfort, expanding only when there's work to be done. "I'm trying," I say softly. "I really am." He squeezes my arm, but the gesture is more guilt than comfort. "I know. I'm sorry, Mom. Just give it time. Give it time." The same words Frank used to say when the world got hard. The difference was, with Frank, time always healed. Here, it only widens the distance between who I was and who I've become. One night, as I try to write, my hand shaking, I notice the family photo is missing from my nightstand. The one of Travis as a baby. Frank holding him up in the air, all three of us laughing, a little blurry, but full of life. I search my drawers, the shelves, even the trash, but it's gone. I want to cry, but the tears don't come. Instead, I write, "I miss you, Frank. I miss the woman I was when you were here. I'm scared I'm disappearing piece by piece." I sit in the dark, listening to the sound of Savannah laughing in the kitchen with Chloe, the faint hum of the dishwasher, Travis's footsteps on the stairs. I press my palms together to still the trembling, then close my eyes and try to imagine a world where I belong. But tonight, all I see are closed doors and missing faces, and the sound of my own voice fading into silence. Chloe's questions are always gentle, almost whispered, as if she's afraid the air itself might crack under the weight of curiosity. On a gray afternoon, while Savannah is out at a PTA meeting and Travis is working late, Chloe slips into my room, her pink socks silent on the floor. She sits beside me, knees tucked under her chin, and watches as I fold laundry on the bed. "Grandma, what were you like when you were my age?" she asks, voice small but clear. I pause, a faded dish towel in my hands, my mind suddenly drifting backward, past the years and the scars, to a little Indiana farmhouse where the air was thick with the scent of rain and resentment. I picture myself at Chloe's age, hair in crooked braids, too tall for my age, always bumping elbows on the kitchen counters. I remember the way my mother's sighs seemed to fill every room. "Loretta, don't be such a mess. You're not like the other girls. You have to try harder." I glance at Chloe, seeing the same raw hope I used to carry, wondering if the world could be softer than it seemed. "I was shy," I say finally. "A little clumsy. I loved books and being outside. My mother didn't always understand me." Chloe tilts her head. "Did you get in trouble a lot?" I nod, the memory both distant and fresh. "Sometimes. My mother had a lot on her mind. She wanted things to be perfect. I always felt like I was letting her down." Chloe frowns. "You don't let me down." The words ache in my chest, and I brush a strand of hair from her face. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means more than you know." After she leaves, I sit on the bed and let the memories wash over me. My mother, Edna, with her iron straight back and her sharp tongue, running a tight ship after my father left. Every mistake was a lesson in what not to be. The days bled together, scrubbing floors, reciting school lessons at the table, trying to shrink myself to fit the spaces she left for me. Even now, decades later, I can still hear her voice. "Girls like us can't afford to be careless, Loretta. People remember every slip." It occurs to me then, not for the first time, how these old wounds never truly fade. They travel with us, settling in our bones, passed down like heirlooms. My mother's voice shaped me, and now somehow I see its echo in Savannah. Never satisfied, never gentle, her approval always just out of reach. That night at dinner, the house feels on edge, charged with tension so thick I can almost taste it. The table is set with care, forks and knives precisely lined, Savannah's handiwork everywhere. Travis reads emails on his phone. Chloe is unusually quiet, pushing peas around her plate. I serve the casserole, hands steady despite my fluttering heart. Then it happens. I accidentally drop the serving spoon. A soft clatter against the edge of the dish. The sound is small, but in the silence, it's as loud as a fire alarm. Savannah's eyes snap to mine, her mouth tightening. Honestly, Loretta, she says, voice loaded with sarcasm, is it really so hard to be careful? It's just another thing to fix, just like everything else around here. The words hang in the air, heavy and poisonous. Travis looks up from his phone, frozen in place, the screen casting blue light on his face. Chloe stares at her plate, tears welling in her eyes. I feel the old shame rise, thick and suffocating. For a moment, I am 6 years old again, standing in my mother's kitchen, listening to her tally my failures. It's as if the past and present have fused, one woman's disappointment blending seamlessly into another's. I'm sorry, I say quietly, the words automatic, rehearsed. Savannah doesn't look at me. She dabs at her mouth with a napkin, her movements stiff. Of course you are. Travis shifts in his seat. Savannah, come on, it was an accident. She rounds on him, voice tight. An accident? Travis, I'm tired of all the accidents. I'm tired of cleaning up. Maybe if everyone took a little more responsibility. Chloe bursts into tears, her fork clattering onto the table. Stop it, she cries, her small voice trembling. Just stop! The room goes silent. Travis puts his phone down and reaches for Chloe, but she pulls away, tears streaking down her face. Savannah sighs, pinching the bridge of her nose, clearly frustrated but trying to compose herself. I reach for Chloe, but she stands, clutching her stuffed rabbit to her chest and flees the table. The sound of her running feet echoes up the stairs. We sit in silence, the only sound the ticking of the old wall clock and the distant sobs from Chloe's room. I study my family, the cracks running through us, old and new, like veins in marble. I see how women have always been set against each other in our line. My mother's bitterness handed to me, mine now colliding with Savannah's perfectionism. We were never taught to hold each other, only to hold our tongues, to survive by being sharper than the hurt that shaped us. I want to break the pattern. I need to tell Savannah that we are all just girls who weren't loved right, still trying to learn how to be soft with ourselves. But the words stick in my throat. The only inheritance we seem to share is silence. After dinner, Savannah clears the table wordlessly, stacking plates with a practiced efficiency that is more performance than necessity. Travis tries to talk to her, but she brushes past him, busy with the dishwasher. I wander into the living room, hands shaking as I pick up the remote, then set it down. The house is full of noise, clinking dishes, Chloe's muffled cries, Savannah's footsteps overhead. But none of it reaches me. Later, when the house is quiet, I return to my room, looking for solace in my journals. I notice the closet door is slightly ajar. Curious, I kneel and reach to the very back, my hand brushing against something hard and rectangular. I pull out a heavy, dust-coated box. Inside is an old photo album I haven't seen in years. Black and white portraits, faded Polaroids, images of family reunions and holidays long past. Nestled between the pages, almost hidden, is an envelope with my name written in Frank's looping hand. My heart stutters in my chest. I sit on the edge of the bed, fingers trembling, and carefully open the envelope. Inside is a single letter, written in Frank's steady, familiar script. There's a line at the top. If you're reading this, Loretta, it means you need a reminder. You are stronger than any pain this family can bring. My eyes fill with tears before I even read the rest. The weight of everything, my mother's disapproval, Savannah's cruelty, Travis's helplessness, Chloe's sorrow, presses down on me. But Frank's words are a lifeline. I clutch the letter to my chest, letting myself cry for the first time in weeks. Silent sobs that wring out a little bit of the poison lodged in my heart. I realize, as I rock there in the dark, that these wounds didn't start with me. But maybe, just maybe, they can end with me. Maybe that's the secret Frank wanted me to remember. The tension in the house builds like a gathering storm. Every small mistake, every clipped word stacking up until the air itself feels brittle. For days, Savannah's hostility smolders just beneath the surface, and Travis walks on eggshells, dodging conflict, telling himself it will all blow over. Chloe grows quieter, hugging her rabbit, watching the adults with wide, anxious eyes. It happens on a Saturday afternoon, just as the first raindrops begin to tap against the windows. I'm in the kitchen, folding dish towels, trying to keep myself busy, when Savannah enters, her expression sharp, movements clipped. Travis and Chloe follow, drawn by the tension that suddenly fills the room. Savannah doesn't bother to soften her tone. "We need to talk," she says, arms crossed tightly across her chest. "Now." I turn, nerves fraying. Travis stands by the counter, silent, gaze flickering between us. Chloe hovers in the doorway, her hand in her hair. Savannah's voice is icy. "This can't go on. I have tried, Loretta. I've tried to keep this house together. But you—" She gestures around, her anger spilling over. "You break things, you lose things, you create chaos." The vase was the last straw. I swallow, words caught in my throat. "It was an accident, Savannah. I've apologized." She cuts me off, louder now. "It's always an accident with you. Do you know how much that vase cost? Do you know what it means when insurance calls us? We're still paying off your hospital bills, your prescriptions, and now this? You're sabotaging us, Loretta. You're endangering this family's future, and I can't let it happen anymore." My cheeks flush hot with humiliation. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I can pay you back." She laughs, cold and dismissive. "With what? Your retirement checks? This is a family home, Loretta, not a charity." Travis finally finds his voice, though it's thin, uncertain. "Maybe we should all just calm down." Savannah turns on him, frustration clear. "No, Travis, you don't get to be neutral. You see what's happening. You feel it too. She's making it impossible for us to move forward." The room is spinning. I look at Travis, hoping for rescue, but he just sighs, shoulders slumping. "Maybe it would be best if you went somewhere else for a while, Mom, just until things settle down." The words knock the air from my chest. I stare at him, uncomprehending. "Go where? Travis, this is my home too. I have nowhere else." He can't meet my eyes. "Just for now, Mom, please. Savannah's right. We all need space." I look at Chloe, desperate for a lifeline. She rushes to my side, clutching my hand, eyes filling with tears. "Don't go, Grandma. Please don't leave." Savannah's patience snaps. She moves quickly, prying Chloe's hand away from mine. "Enough, Chloe. Go upstairs. This is between adults." Chloe stumbles back, sobbing as she runs up the stairs. I hear her door slam, the final punctuation to a conversation I never wanted. Savannah steps closer, voice low and cutting. "You've done enough damage, Loretta. You need to go. Now." I stand there, frozen, while Travis retrieves my suitcase from the closet. He sets it by the door, not saying a word. The rain outside is steady now, drumming against the windows, a soundtrack for my shame. Wordlessly, I climb the stairs to my small room. My hands shake as I fold my clothes, gather my journals, tuck my medicine deep into my bag. I move through the motions like someone else, watching from a distance. Each item I pack is a piece of my dignity, a reminder of what I've lost. Downstairs, the house is silent except for the rain and the occasional creak of floorboards. As I descend, suitcase in hand, I pause on the landing. Chloe sits on the top step, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes red and pleading. She doesn't say anything, just watches me, her silence more powerful than any words. At the door, Travis finally speaks, voice thick. "I'll check in on you, Mom. I'm sorry." I nod, but I can't look at him. My heart is shattered by his weakness, by Savannah's cruelty, by the realization that there is no safe place for me here. I step into the storm, rain soaking my hair, my coat, the hem of my skirt. The driveway is slick with water, the world blurry with tears and raindrops. I stand under the porch light, suitcase in hand, and for a moment, I wonder if anyone will come after me, beg me to stay, take my side. No one does. I walk down the path, each step heavier than the last, dignity slipping away with every puddle I splash through. My car waits at the curb, cold and empty. I slide into the driver's seat, hands trembling, and stare back at the house, my son's house, no longer mine. Inside, I imagine Savannah breathing a sigh of relief, Travis pouring himself a drink, Chloe curled up in bed, crying into her pillow. For a long moment, I let the heartbreak wash over me. I am a woman without a home, without a place. The world outside is dark and full of water, and I am utterly, completely alone. Night presses in around the empty parking lot, muffling the world beyond my fogged-up windshield. I'm parked beneath a twisted old oak in the corner of Rosewood Park, surrounded by shadows, with my 2 suitcases wedged in the back seat and my coat pulled up to my chin. The rain has stopped, but the air still tastes of it, damp, raw, uncertain. I stare at my hands on the steering wheel, the dashboard clock blinking midnight, and try to remember who I was before I became the woman sleeping in her car. I count my belongings, again and again, as if naming them will make them real. 2 suitcases, 1 battered handbag, 3 prescription bottles, a stack of notebooks, and the letter from Frank, still unread, tucked into my journal. My whole life, shrunk to fit inside 4 doors and a trunk. It is both more and less than I ever thought I'd have. The first night is the hardest. Sleep comes in fits, chased away by the creak of branches and the distant rumble of traffic. I wake every hour, heart thumping, convinced someone will rap on the glass and demand to know why I'm here. By dawn, my body aches, but I am still here. The world is quiet, and the birds are louder than I remember. I walk to the edge of the river that snakes through the park. Mist hangs over the water, silver in the rising sun. I settle on a cold bench and open my journal, letting my pen move where it wants. The words spill out: fear, shame, anger, and something new: relief. There is no one here to judge me, no one to lock me out, no one to move my things. I am alone, but I am free. I write until my hand cramps, and as I close the journal, I feel lighter. Later, as I return to my car, I notice an old RV parked under the trees a few rows away. It's painted a faded blue, windows patched with flowery curtains. As I approach, the door swings open, and a woman leans out, her white hair caught up in a colorful scarf. "You look like you could use a hot meal," she calls. Her smile is genuine, warm in a way I haven't seen in years. I hesitate, but hunger wins out. She waves me inside, and I duck into the small, cozy space. There are books stacked everywhere, postcards from places I've never been, and the faint smell of onions and garlic. "I'm Evelyn," she says, ladling soup into a chipped bowl. "You here for the night or the long haul?" I manage a tired smile. "Just passing through, I guess." She sits across from me, blue eyes shrewd and kind. "Funny thing, passing through. Sometimes you get so lost you find yourself somewhere new." I taste the soup, thick and hearty. It fills the cold corners of me I didn't know were empty. "Thank you. I'm Loretta." We talk in fits and starts. Evelyn shares pieces of her own story: a late divorce, grown children she rarely sees, a life rebuilt on the road. She tells me about sleeping by lakes in Wisconsin, learning to fix her own engine, finding beauty in the smallest moments. There's sadness there, but also pride. At one point, I admit, voice shaky, "I never thought I'd end up here. I've done everything I could, and it was never enough." Evelyn looks at me over the rim of her mug. "Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself, honey. Sometimes you gotta burn it all down just to see what's left worth keeping." Her words settle deep, stirring something old and restless inside me. That afternoon, I walk the park's winding trails, the sun breaking through gray clouds, dappling the grass in gold. I let myself breathe, really breathe, for the first time in weeks. There is no one to answer to, no one to criticize. The river rushes beside me, constant and alive. I press my bare feet into the cool mud, feeling grounded and real. I spend 3 nights at the park, journaling by the river every dawn, my face turned toward the rising sun. I write about Frank, his patience, his quiet strength. I write about my mother, about Savannah, about the sharp-edged words and all the ways I have bent myself small to fit other people's needs. And I write about myself, not as a burden or a problem to solve, but as a woman with her own story, her own voice. In these quiet mornings, I begin to see how deeply I've internalized the lessons of my mother and Savannah. Don't take up space, don't make a fuss, be useful, or be invisible. It's not just them, it's the world that taught me to shrink. But sitting by the river, under the forgiving sky, I feel those old rules loosening, slipping away with the current. One morning, as I pack up my things, Evelyn finds me at the picnic table. She brings coffee and a smile. "You look better," she says, like you finally came home to yourself. I nod, realizing she's right. I'm not healed, but I am whole. It's just before noon when my phone rings, its shrill tone startling in the peace. The caller ID flashes a name I barely recognize, Richard Myers. For a moment, I don't answer, afraid it's more bad news. But something makes me pick up. Mrs. Harper? The voice is formal, but there's a hint of warmth. This is Richard Myers. I was a close friend of your late husband, Frank. I've been trying to reach you. There are some matters regarding a trust fund and a will that Frank left for you. I think it's time we talked. I freeze, the world tilting. A trust fund? A hidden will? Frank, always careful, always thinking ahead, leaving me a message when I need it most. My heart pounds with something I haven't felt in a long time: hope. As I end the call, I look out at the river, sunlight glinting on the water, and for the first time since leaving Travis's house, I let myself imagine a future where I'm not just surviving, but living. The law office is tucked between a florist and an old bookstore downtown, its brass plaque dulled by time and weather. I stand on the sidewalk for a long moment, clutching my purse, my heart thudding hard enough to drown out the city's bustle. I haven't stepped into a place like this since Frank passed, and even then, I was only half awake with grief. Now the ache is different, old wounds flaring with a new, raw hope. Inside, the office smells faintly of lemon polish and old paper. Richard Myers is waiting for me by the reception desk, a tall man with salt and pepper hair and kind, steady eyes. He shakes my hand warmly, offering a small, genuine smile. "Mrs. Harper," he says, leading me into his office. "Thank you for coming on such short notice. I know this must all be overwhelming." I nod, settling into a worn leather chair across from his desk. I wasn't sure what to expect. Richard closes the door and sits down, sorting through a folder thick with documents. He glances up, searching my face. Frank was a good man. He was always thinking ahead, always wanting to make sure you were cared for. He left some instructions. Well, more than instructions, really. It's a trust, and a sizable one. But there are some conditions. My breath catches. I don't understand. Frank never mentioned. He smiles softly. He wanted it to be a surprise, but not the kind that catches you off guard. He wrote a letter, actually two, one for you and one for me. He asked me to deliver his wishes in person whenever you were ready to hear them. With gentle hands, Richard slides an envelope across the desk. The same envelope I'd found hidden in the photo album, now slightly crumpled from my sleepless nights. I trace my fingers over Frank's signature on the seal. The familiar loops and careful lines. My eyes sting as I open it, unfolding the single sheet inside. "Loretta, if you're reading this, it means you're facing something harder than you deserve. I wish I were there to put my arms around you. I wish I could stand beside you and remind you. You are more than what others see. There's a trust fund, but I left you more than money. I left you the means to break the cycle, our family's cycle of silence and shrinking. Don't let shame keep you small. Don't let old pain be your only inheritance. Use what I've left to carve out a life for yourself, on your terms. And if you feel alone, remember, you are loved. Frank." The words blur, tears threatening to fall. I touch the paper as if it's his hand, feeling the weight of his belief in me. My thumb drags across his signature, solid, unshaken, anchoring me in the moment. Grief, sharp as ever, mixes with something else. An unfamiliar, buoyant hope. Richard's voice is quiet. "Frank wanted to ensure you wouldn't have to depend on anyone who made you feel less than yourself. The trust is sizable, enough to secure your future, purchase a home, start over. But the stipulation is personal. Frank wanted you to stand up for yourself, to take back what's yours, not just the money, but your dignity." I sit back, the leather creaking as guilt sweeps through me. I think of Travis, of Chloe, even Savannah. Of all the years I tried to be good, careful, invisible. I remember the way my mother taught me to apologize for my existence, how Frank was the only one who ever made me feel like enough. The shame feels heavy, like old wool soaked through. But Frank's words settle in the cracks. Don't let old pain be your only inheritance. "I don't know how to do this," I say softly. "I've spent my whole life trying not to upset anyone. I don't even know what standing up for myself looks like. Richard folds his hands on the desk, his gaze steady and kind. It looks like this, like showing up, asking questions, letting yourself feel angry, and then choosing what's right for you. It's not about fighting or hurting anyone. It's about not letting yourself be erased. I turn the letter over in my hands, searching for more instructions, a blueprint, a sign. But Frank's faith is all he's left me. And maybe, finally, it's enough. I think about Chloe, her small voice in the dark, asking if I was ever in trouble, if I ever felt like I didn't belong. I think about the fear in Travis's eyes, the way Savannah's own wounds have sharpened her into someone brittle and cold. I wonder if I can be the one to stop the cycle, if I can be the mother, the grandmother, the woman who refuses to disappear. Frank always believed in me more than I believed in myself, I whisper, pressing the letter to my chest. Richard nods. That's the legacy he wanted to leave you. Not just security, but the freedom to be yourself, to break free of what's held you back. I can help you with the legal side, but the rest, that's yours. I let the tears fall, silent and steady, as the city moves outside the window. For the first time in months, maybe years, I feel seen. Not just by Frank, but by myself. I think I'm ready, I say finally, voice steadying. I think it's time I reclaim what I lost. Richard smiles, rising to shake my hand. You're stronger than you know, Loretta. And you're not alone. Not anymore. As I leave the office, the sun slips out from behind a bank of clouds, shining over the street. I stand on the sidewalk for a long moment, Frank's letter pressed to my chest, letting the warmth soak in. The future is uncertain. There is fear, yes, but there is hope too. And this time I know I have the strength to claim it. The women's shelter sits on the edge of town, surrounded by a sagging fence and a garden of wild sunflowers. I arrive carrying everything I own in 2 suitcases, Frank's letter clutched in my hand. The director, a calm woman named Annette, leads me through the tidy halls and explains the rules. My room is small but clean, painted a cheerful blue, with a window that looks out onto a courtyard filled with laughter and laundry lines. The first night I barely sleep, nerves jangling. But in the morning, I join the others in the kitchen, women of all ages, sipping coffee, telling jokes, comforting their children. There is a softness here, a sense of safety I haven't felt in years. For the first time, I don't have to explain myself. Linda finds me at breakfast. She's a social worker with quick wit and a wide, contagious smile. Her hair is peppered with gray, and her eyes have the look of someone who's survived storms and learned to dance in the rain. She sits across from me, cradling a mug, and says, "New here?" I nod, feeling both exposed and relieved. "I'm Loretta." "Linda," she replies. "You're safe now, that's the first thing. The second, you don't owe anyone your silence." We fall into conversation easily. Linda shares her story, how she escaped an abusive marriage in her 40s, how she rebuilt her life piece by piece. "I used to think I was nothing without him," she confides. "Then I realized I was nothing because of him. The world gets a lot bigger when you stop shrinking." Her words resonate with something deep in me. In the days that follow, we talk every afternoon in the sunny corner of the library, surrounded by battered books and the sound of children playing outside. She encourages me to speak at group meetings, to write about my experiences, to imagine a future shaped by my own choices. Evelyn visits every week in her old blue RV, parking outside the shelter with groceries and stories from the road. She brings me a scarf, a bright, wild print that makes me smile. "You need color, Loretta. You need to remember who you are." I take their words to heart. I begin to dress with care again, new jeans and a yellow blouse, shoes that fit. I cut my hair, short and strong, no longer hiding behind it. In the shelter's bathroom, I stand before the mirror, practicing the speech I've written a dozen times. My voice wavers at first, but grows steadier with each attempt. "You have treated me like a burden," I say, watching my reflection. "But I am not invisible. I am not disposable. I am here, and I am done apologizing for it." I imagine facing Savannah, standing my ground in the house that used to be mine. I see Chloe's face, hopeful, uncertain. I practice my words for her too. "You are not to blame. You are never too much or not enough." The days slide by. each one chipping away at my old fears. Linda watches me with pride, offering encouragement and tough love in equal measure. One thing I learned, she tells me over coffee, is that nobody's going to hand you your dignity. You have to take it back and you have to use your voice. That's your power, Loretta. Use it. I nod, feeling the truth of her words. My voice, quiet for so long, drowned out by my mother, my husband, Savannah, has weight now. I carry it in my chest, a secret strength. Frank's letter sits on my bedside table. Each night I read his words, reminding myself that I am loved, that I can break the cycle. I write new letters to him, sharing my victories and my doubts, letting him witness the woman I'm becoming. The plan begins to form in the quiet hours after lights out. Chloe's birthday is next week. A small party at Travis and Savannah's house. Nothing elaborate, just family and a few friends. It's the perfect moment. Their guard will be down, the day meant for celebration, not conflict. I will show up, not to beg, not to apologize, but to claim my place as Chloe's grandmother, as myself. Linda and Evelyn help me prepare. Evelyn presses a gift into my hands, a photo album for Chloe, filled with snapshots from my own childhood, stories scribbled in the margins. Let her see where she comes from, she says. Let her know she's not alone. Linda coaches me on what to say if Savannah lashes out, if Travis wavers, if anyone tries to shame me into silence. You know your truth, she reminds me. You don't need their permission to tell it. On the morning of the party, I dress carefully. A deep blue dress, the scarf from Evelyn, a new coat that fits just right. I look at myself in the mirror and see strength in the lines of my face, resolve in the set of my jaw. Before leaving, I gather my things, Chloe's present, Frank's letter, the trust paperwork. I stand in the bathroom, take a deep breath, and practice one last time. I am here. I am not afraid. My life is my own. As I head toward the front door, Linda catches my arm. Her voice is warm but firm. Remember, Loretta, your voice is your power. Use it. I nod, heart steady. I will. The drive to Travis and Savannah's house feels surreal. The city is alive with spring, flowers bursting along the sidewalks, children laughing in the parks. My hands don't shake as I pull up to the curb. For the first time, I don't feel like an intruder. Just as I'm about to step out, my phone buzzes. Savannah's name flashes on the screen. I hesitate, dread curling in my stomach, but I answer. Her voice is sharp, urgent. Loretta, I know about the trust fund. I know what Frank left you. My breath catches. How did you, She cuts me off. Don't come here. If you do, I'll make sure you never see Chloe again. I'll go to the lawyers. I'll tell them you're unfit. You want a legal fight? Fine. But you're not ruining this day. Her words are a blade, but they don't cut as deep as they once would have. I stand in the bright morning light, feeling the warmth on my skin, and realize that fear is no longer the strongest part of me. I speak quietly, calmly. You can try, Savannah, but you can't silence me. Not anymore. I end the call and gather my things, shoulders squared, eyes clear. Today, I will walk into that house on my own terms. As I move toward the door, I hear Frank's voice in my heart, steady, loving, full of hope. And for the first time in my life, I believe him. The front door is wide open, a flurry of bright balloons tied to the porch railing, and laughter trailing out onto the lawn. Through the windows, I see the house filled with family and neighbors, the kitchen table crowded with paper plates and a pink frosted cake. I smooth my dress, steady my hands, and step inside, the air electric with celebration, and something sharper beneath. No one notices me at first. I walk quietly through the hall, the sounds of Chloe's friends giggling, adults talking over coffee, Savannah's laugh ringing a little too high above the noise. I catch Travis's eye from across the room. He freezes, mouth half open, a plate of sandwiches forgotten in his hand. The world seems to pause around us. Savannah is the first to recover. She steps forward, smile brittle, eyes cold. Well, this is a surprise? Her voice carries, pulling the attention of every adult in the room. I thought you understood, Loretta. You weren't invited. My heart pounds, but I hold my ground, forcing my voice to stay calm. I'm here for Chloe, that's all. Savannah laughs, loud and mocking. You just can't help yourself, can you? Always turning up where you're not wanted. Always making a scene. Maybe you think today is about you? Heads turn. Conversations die mid-sentence. The room tightens, breath held. I see Linda and Evelyn near the door, quiet but present, their support giving me strength. Travis edges closer, his face pale. He tries to speak, but Savannah shoots him a look that silences him before a word can form. Chloe stands in the center of the room, clutching a birthday card, her eyes wide with worry. I feel the heat rise to my cheeks, the old urge to shrink, to apologize. But Frank's letter is heavy in my pocket, and I remember every word he wrote. I take a deep breath, step forward, and face the crowd. Savannah, I say, my voice shaking but growing stronger with each word. I've spent my whole life trying not to be a problem. But this isn't about being wanted or unwanted. It's about truth. She crosses her arms, anger flickering. What are you talking about now? Another one of your stories? I reach into my purse and pull out Frank's letter and the trust paperwork. I hold them high for everyone to see. This is a letter from my late husband, Frank, I say, letting my voice fill the room. And this, I unfold the trust documents, is proof that he left a legacy for me, a legacy you tried to keep hidden. A ripple of shock travels through the guests. Whispers start in the corners. Savannah's eyes narrow. That's a lie. There's no trust. There's nothing. I open the letter, reading Frank's words aloud, my hands trembling, but my voice clear. Loretta, you are more than what others see. I left you the means to break the cycle, our family's cycle of silence and shrinking. Don't let shame keep you small. Don't let old pain be your only inheritance. Use what I've left to carve out a life for yourself on your terms. The silence is heavy now, every eye fixed on me. I finish, looking directly at Savannah. You can't erase me from my own story. You don't get to decide who I am or what I deserve. For a heartbeat, no one moves. Savannah looks as if she's been slapped, her cheeks flushed, hands clenched at her sides. Travis stares at the floor, his shame plain for everyone to see. It's Chloe who breaks the spell. She runs across the room, arms outstretched, and throws herself into my arms. Grandma, she sobs, clinging to me so tightly I can hardly breathe. Don't leave again, please don't leave. Tears burn in my eyes as I hug her, the whole world shrinking to the shape of her small arms around my neck. I press a kiss to her hair. I'm not going anywhere, honey. Not anymore. Linda's voice cuts through the hush, gentle but firm. Families aren't perfect, but they're built on love, on truth, not on silence. Evelyn nods, her eyes shining with pride. It takes courage to tell the truth, and it takes even more to stand by it. I look around the room, at the aunts and uncles, the neighbors, Travis standing uncertain in the corner. I see the faces of those who doubted me, who pitied me, who never bothered to ask what really happened. Today, I let them see me, the whole of me. Not just the parts that are easy or pleasant, but the parts that endured, that survived. Savannah tries to recover, voice sharp. So you came here to humiliate me? To ruin Chloe's birthday? I shake my head, holding Chloe close. No, I came to make things right, to claim my place, to show Chloe and everyone else that we don't have to keep living by old rules, that we can write new ones. Chloe buries her face in my shoulder, her tears soaking into my dress. The guests are silent, some nodding, others looking away. The truth sits between us all, undeniable, shining in the quiet afternoon. Travis finally speaks, voice broken. I'm sorry, Mom. I should have protected you. I should have believed you. I nod. Forgiveness slow but sure in my heart. We all have things to learn, Travis. What matters is what we do next. For the first time, I feel light, unburdened. I look at Savannah, so brittle, so afraid, and wish her healing, even as I set my own boundaries. The celebration resumes, a little subdued but honest, the air lighter for what's been spoken. I stay close to Chloe, her hand in mine, the two of us anchored together. In the reflection of the window, I see the faces of my family, surprised, uncertain, but listening. For the first time in years, my story is my own. After the shock of my revelation, the party's atmosphere shifts in ways that are both subtle and seismic. Conversations start up again, but this time they ripple with whispers, quiet, pointed glances cast toward Savannah, a distinct and growing sense of unease settling over her. Where once she was the center of every gathering, directing the energy, now she stands apart, as if the very room itself is quietly turning away. Savannah tries to reclaim control, launching into small talk and laughter that feels shrill and out of place. She offers cake, but fewer guests accept. I see neighbors, Mrs. Hendricks and the Sandersons, watching her with open suspicion. Even her friends seem less willing to meet her eye, shifting their weight, suddenly busy with their phones or their children. Travis, meanwhile, stands near the window, hands jammed deep in his pockets, face drawn. The gears in his mind are finally turning, years of denial and rationalization peeling away under the weight of the truth. Every so often, he glances at Savannah, then back at me, pain and regret warring in his eyes. Chloe, still glued to my side, holds my hand tight. I smooth her hair, offering comfort I finally feel capable of giving, my voice strong when I whisper, "You're safe, sweetheart. I promise Linda and Evelyn linger nearby, subtle but solid pillars of support." I can sense, too, the silent gratitude from other women in the room, mothers, sisters, friends who have watched, perhaps from the sidelines, as the old rules held too much power over the vulnerable. There's a new possibility now, a question in their eyes. If she can change things, maybe we can too. I take a breath, stand tall, and address the room. "I want to thank you all for listening," I begin. My voice is steady, resonant. Frank's trust was a gift, not just to me, but for all of us, an invitation to build something better. That's why I'm donating part of my inheritance to Rosewood Women's Shelter. There are women out there, right now, who need hope and safety. I want to give them what I nearly lost, a second chance. The room is hushed, but it's not the silence of before. It's a quiet born of respect, of something new settling over the gathering. I see the tears in Annette's eyes, the shelter director who hugs me afterward, whispering, "You're changing lives, Loretta. You're giving back what the world tried to take from you." Chloe squeezes my hand. "That's really nice, Grandma," she says, her voice small but full of awe. Travis finally crosses the room, his posture uncertain but determined. He stops in front of me, the weight of years pressing down. "Mom," he says, voice rough, "I should have stood up for you. I should have seen what was happening. I'm sorry for all the ways I let you down." I look at my son, seeing not just the man he is, but the boy he was, the boy I tried so hard to protect, the boy who learned silence from the wrong people. "Thank you, Travis," I reply, my own voice thick. "What matters is that you see it now. We can move forward, together." He hugs me, the embrace awkward but real, and for the first time in a long time, I feel the possibility of healing between us. Savannah stands near the hallway, arms crossed so tightly her knuckles are white. Her anger has nowhere to go, her isolation complete. For years she commanded this household. Now she is the one left out in the cold. She glares at me, voice brittle. "So that's it? You humiliate me in front of everyone, and now you're the hero?" I meet her gaze calmly. "I didn't come here to humiliate anyone. I came here to speak my truth. The rest is up to you." Savannah can't find a retort. She glances around, searching for allies and finding none. She storms out, her heels echoing on the hardwood, the front door slamming behind her. Guests murmur, but no one follows. Chloe clings to me, her small arms wrapped around my waist. "Are you leaving again, Grandma?" I kneel to her level, holding her face in my hands. "No, Chloe, I'm here, and I'm not letting anyone send me away again." All around I see faces, some sympathetic, some uncertain, but none dismissive. I feel seen finally, not as a burden or an afterthought, but as a person who matters. My story is no longer something to be ashamed of. It's something I survived, something I can share. As the party slowly regains its festive air, neighbors come up to thank me. A few mothers ask about the shelter, about what they can do to help. Linda hugs me, whispering, "You did it, Loretta. You really did." Later, as dusk creeps through the windows and most of the guests have trickled out, I gather my things in the foyer. Travis helps Chloe with her presents. Evelyn pours coffee for Linda, and I take a moment to soak in the sense of peace that settled over the house. But the quiet is shattered by Savannah's return. She strides into the foyer, eyes wild, a folded piece of paper clutched in her hand. She corners me before I can speak, her voice a harsh whisper. "You think this is over? Think again." She thrusts the paper toward me. I have proof, Loretta. Medical records signed by your doctor showing you're not well, that you're unfit. If you don't walk away from that trust, if you don't leave my family alone, I'll have you declared incompetent. I'll take Chloe, and you'll never see her again. My heart hammers in my chest. I stare at the paper, recognizing the doctor's name, but the handwriting is wrong, and the details are twisted. A forged document, a last desperate move. I lift my eyes to Savannah, steady and unafraid. You can try, Savannah, but you won't succeed. Not this time. She glares at me, but something in her expression falters. She knows the power has shifted. The room is mine now, and for the first time, I feel the full measure of my own strength. The courthouse is cold, all gray stone and glass, the kind of place where secrets are dragged into the light and nothing stays hidden for long. My hands tremble a little as I wait in the corridor, but I'm not alone. Linda squeezes my shoulder, steady as ever. Evelyn stands to my left, her scarf a splash of color against the institutional blandness. Richard Myers, calm and collected, flips through a stack of documents at my side. Travis sits across from me, anxiety etched deep on his face. He keeps glancing at the courtroom doors, eyes shadowed with guilt and hope. Chloe isn't allowed in the courtroom, but I saw her before we walked in. She hugged me tight, whispered, "I love you, Grandma," and handed me a little stone heart she'd found at the river. It's tucked deep in my coat pocket, a small anchor. Savannah paces the far side of the corridor, her lawyer by her side. She looks pale and angry, her eyes darting anywhere but at me. There's fear behind her sharpness now, a desperation that's almost pitiable. When our case is called, I walk into the courtroom with my head high. I see the judge's eyes flick from me to Savannah and back again. Linda and Evelyn sit behind me, silent but strong. Richard offers one last nod. Reassurance, not pity. The hearing begins. Savannah's lawyer makes his case with a flourish, presenting the forged medical record. He reads from it as if it's gospel, claiming I'm unfit, unstable, a danger to myself and to my granddaughter. He says I'm too forgetful to manage an inheritance, too weak to stand alone. Savannah sits rigid, hands folded in her lap, her jaw clenched. My heart thunders, but I force myself to breathe, to listen without shrinking. When my turn comes, Richard rises. He dismantles their story piece by piece. The handwriting analysis exposes the forgery. The judge frowns at the inconsistencies, the way the signature doesn't match my doctor's previous notes. Richard submits letters of support from the women's shelter, from Linda and Evelyn, from my own doctor, all painting a picture of someone stable, responsible, and respected. Travis stands up, voice shaking but clear. My mother has always put her family first, he says. I was blind to what she went through, but I've seen the truth. She is strong, and she deserves every right to her life, her legacy, and her family. Savannah tries to interrupt, but the judge holds up a hand. That's enough, Mrs. Harper, he says, using her married name as if reminding her of the family she tried to control. This isn't about punishing anyone, it's about truth. I'm called to the stand. My palms are damp, but I remember Linda's words. Your voice is your power. I tell my story in full. The years of quiet suffering, the cycle of shrinking and apologizing, the moment I found my strength. I read Frank's letter aloud, and for a moment, even Savannah looks away, unable to meet my eyes. The judge listens carefully, his face unreadable. After closing arguments, he leans forward, voice gentle but commanding. Sometimes justice means more than money, it means healing. Miss Harper, you have proven not only your competence but your dignity. The court rules in your favor. You are granted full legal rights to your inheritance and to see your granddaughter. Let this be the end of old wounds and the beginning of something new. For a moment, I am weightless, the courtroom spinning with relief and joy. I hug Richard, then Linda and Evelyn. Travis stands as if in a daze, tears in his eyes. He comes to me, wordless, and collapses into my arms, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have listened. I should have stood by you. I hold him, my own tears falling at last. It's all right, Travis. We all have to learn. What matters is what we do now. Outside the courthouse, sunlight breaks through the clouds. Chloe waits at the top of the steps, her small face lit with hope. She runs to me, and I catch her, lifting her high, spinning her in a circle that fills the world with laughter. Around us, people cheer and clap. Linda wipes her eyes. Evelyn beams, and Richard smiles, finally letting go of his professional reserve. Reporters shout questions, but I keep my focus on Chloe and my family. Savannah stands apart, shoulders hunched, watching with a mixture of bitterness and regret. Her lawyer murmurs something, but she shrugs him off, lost and alone. In front of everyone, I turn to her. My voice is clear and kind, but there's steel beneath it. Savannah, I forgive you, not because what you did was right, but because I refuse to carry any more pain forward. But there will be boundaries. You will not control my life, my relationship with Chloe, or my future. If you want forgiveness, you have to earn it. Savannah's lip trembles and she looks away, silent for the first time. Chloe holds my hand as we walk down the courthouse steps, her fingers curled tightly around mine. Travis follows, wiping his eyes. For the first time, we walk as a family, fractured but mending, real. That night, I sit by the window in my small apartment, the city lights twinkling in the distance. Chloe sleeps in the next room, Travis and I having promised to start fresh. Linda and Evelyn call to check in, their voices full of pride and love. I take out Frank's letter, reading it one last time before placing it in a box with other reminders of my journey. In the quiet, I let myself believe in healing, not just for me, but for all the women who came before and all those who will come after. The cycle is broken, and what remains is something strong, whole, and entirely my own. The first thing I do in my new home is open every window, letting in the breeze and the late morning sun. My cottage is small, just 2 bedrooms and a kitchen painted the soft yellow of old daffodils. But it is mine, every inch of it echoing with possibility. I carry boxes from the car, Chloe chattering beside me, her hands full of wildflowers she's picked from the garden. Each room smells of clean paint and hope. I set the table with my mother's old china, the same dishes she guarded so fiercely when I was a girl. Now I place them down gently, not as relics, but as reminders that I can carry what was good and let go of what was heavy. I hang a photograph of Frank above the mantel, his warm smile looking down at us, anchoring me in every moment. That evening, I invite Evelyn and Linda to dinner. Chloe helps me peel carrots, her laughter bubbling through the kitchen like music. Linda arrives with a bouquet from the shelter's garden, her arms wide for a hug. Evelyn pulls up in her old blue RV, her presence filling the room with stories and color. We eat together around the table. Chicken casserole, fresh bread, apple pie from a recipe Frank loved. There's an easy comfort here, the air threaded with jokes and old memories. Chloe leans against my shoulder, safe and content, as the women who helped save me trade stories of their own. After dinner, we sit on the porch, watching the sun slip behind the trees. Linda asks how it feels to have a place to call my own. I think of the journey that brought me here, the nights in my car, the sharp words that almost broke me, the letter from Frank that put me back together. I feel the ache of loss, but also the warmth of resilience, the quiet joy of belonging. I've lost and found myself so many times, I say, my voice steady, but I think this is the first time I really feel at home. Not just here, I gesture to the cottage, but in my own skin. Evelyn nods, her eyes shining. That's what starting over is, honey. Not forgetting the past, but letting it shape you without breaking you. Linda raises her glass, her smile proud. To new beginnings, and to the women who never gave up on themselves. We toast to that, laughter echoing across the yard. Days turn gentle in this new chapter. I take morning walks with Chloe, teaching her the names of every wildflower, listening to her dreams for the future. Travis visits often, quieter than before, grateful for second chances. He helps repair a squeaky door, sometimes staying for dinner, always leaving with a hug and a promise to do better. I find my purpose at the women's shelter. Linda brings me in as a mentor, and I spend afternoons listening to women who remind me of my younger self, tired, frightened, but so much stronger than they know. I tell them my story, not as a cautionary tale, but as proof that it's never too late to choose yourself, to break free, to build something new. I help them fill out forms, find jobs, reclaim their lives. We celebrate every small victory together. There are hard days, of course, moments when the old fear creeps in, when I remember Savannah's bitterness or my mother's disappointment. But those voices have grown faint. In their place is the sound of Chloe's laughter, the scent of wildflowers in the kitchen, the knowledge that I have broken the cycle for myself and for the ones I love. One evening, as we clear the table, Chloe turns to me, her eyes wide and earnest. "Grandma, is this what family is supposed to feel like?" I kneel beside her, brushing a curl from her cheek. "Family isn't who stays in your house, Chloe. It's who stands by your side no matter what. It's love that holds us together, even when things get hard." She throws her arms around me, giggling. Her laughter fills the whole room, warm and bright, bouncing off the walls and carrying into the night. Later, when everyone has gone home and Chloe is asleep in the room next to mine, I sit by the fireplace with Frank's photo in my hands. I trace the lines of his smile, the kind eyes that always saw the best in me. "I did it, Frank," I whisper. "I broke the cycle. For Chloe, for Travis, for myself. I promise to keep breaking it. For every woman who comes after. For every part of me that needs healing." I set his photo back on the mantel and look around my home. Truly my home, at last. The walls are filled with laughter, the kitchen with love, my life with new purpose. The past is still a part of me, but it no longer defines me. I have become the woman Frank believed I could be, the woman Chloe can look up to. As the moon rises and the cottage settles into gentle quiet, I let myself rest, hopeful, strong, and ready for whatever comes next. Have you ever faced a moment when speaking up changed everything? Share your own turning point, or tell us what you'd do if you were in Loretta's shoes. Join the conversation below. Your story could be the light someone else needs tonight, because every family has secrets. What matters is what we do next.